What's going on, everybody? Kasabe here. Short little life update. I have a new computer. My condenser microphone finally works. I got a new layout, and hopefully I'm going to be streaming here a lot more coming up. But the big question on everybody's mind is about MLB 21. As some of you might know, I do some logo work for the MLB The Show community, and typically by now we know a little bit more about when the new edition of the show is going to be coming out, any new gameplay features, cover athletes, stuff like that. This year is not like most, as I'm sure many people will tell you, but for a majority of reasons. First of which being coronavirus. Sony San Diego Studios is out of the studio right now, or at least I would hope, more often than what they normally would. And this is a big year for them. They have new generation consoles that they have to port onto and improve upon. And on top of that, they also announced around last March, I think it was, that there's a high possibility that the game might be coming to Xbox, Nintendo Switch, which I remember on Twitter, each of those Twitter accounts kind of confirmed more or less that they were going to be a part of it, but we haven't heard any specific news since then. Personally, I've seen a lot on Twitter recently of people kind of freaking out, wanting to know more information about the game, because typically you start to see some stuff around November, maybe December. Again, this isn't like your prototypical season or yearly release. I think it's going to be quite some time before we do hear anything more from San Diego Studios. Earlier they tweeted that they were going to be sharing more in 2021, which some people took as, as soon as it turned 2021, they're going to have news to share. It's not quite that simple as a developer, and as much as I'd like to know more about the game coming up here, I am on the side of patience. I see a lot of people just freaking out, wanting to know anything, if at all, about the new game that's coming up. And my response to that is there's a whole lot that they're working on right now. At the very least, you have to make a PS4 and a PS5 edition. I don't truly know if they're going to be adding the other consoles to that list, but the last thing you want to do if you're SDS is come out with an announcement and not have it be all that. You're going to get a lot of people asking you questions, and overall, I feel like making a statement might present even more community, reaching out to them, saying what's going on with the game. And I think right now they just have their heads down and they're trying to get as much work done as possible. I think that's part of the reason why they released that statement in the first place, is just hey guys, we know we have a lot of work to do, let us get to it. There will be more to share when there is more to share. Now, I think part of the reason some people are freaking out is because they're worried that the game might be delayed, and there are some valid concerns around that. Last year, the baseball season started around late June, I think it was, and I don't think we're going to get a baseball season that starts around then again. Comparatively, MLB The Show would release just a little bit before the baseball season, so I think they know they're on a tight deadline, and I don't think they're going to delay the game too much. Last year's game, MLB 20, came out pretty early as far as most releases go. It was really early March, and I think we'll still probably get that late March, early April release. It's just, again, there's a lot for them to do in that time span. Now here's where I'm going to speculate a little bit and just kind of go inside the minds of what SDS might be doing. I would firstly hope that their main prioritization is PS5. I know they don't really have the exclusivity to Sony anymore, but you would think along the way that Sony would give them a lot more aid with testing kits and the like, as opposed to maybe Xbox and Switch. And San Diego Studios has been working with PlayStation for so long that they know that kind of area better than anybody. I think the most difficult thing is starting over from scratch using Xbox and Switch controls. I know there's some things that might carry over that are simple, but other technicalities that take some time and coding and just a lot of hard work to get to. But you're starting to see with other game developers like EA Sports, for example, with their new edition of Madden, not much changed. And I think the last thing that SDS wants to do is to have a new game on PS5 where there isn't anything new about the game. My gut tells me that they've been working on PS5 hardware for a while, just based on their relationship with Sony, and you know, they're still trying to flesh out that as much as possible. But I think with it taking this long, either that means they've been out of the office for entirely too long to the point where they're really behind on just like the next gen stuff alone. But again, my gut kind of tells me that they have PlayStation in a good place, and they want to make sure that Xbox and Switch are also very comparable to PlayStation. The reason I feel that is because if they weren't going to make it to Xbox or Switch this year, they probably would have announced it already. I want you to pay close attention to this announcement that I'm showing on the screen right here, and it says 2021 at the earliest. They could have very well said, you know, because of COVID, we're not able to get it on Xbox or Switch this year. They could have done that at any point during the fall or winter seasons, but they haven't. And I think the reason for that is because they are working as hard as possible to make Switch and Xbox possible. By comparison, the cover athlete and a couple other like small announcements just to reveal the gameplay is really trivial. And they know as soon as they tweet something about the cover athlete or whatever it might be, they open up a can of worms about people wanting to know anything or everything about the game. So here's where I think SDS will probably hold off on making an announcement, and they're just going to go all in with all the information that you're going to need. Part of that might be because they still need to do the work due to coronavirus related matters, but I do truly think that they want to throw everything at you guys as soon as they're done and in a satisfied position with where they're at, because they are bringing everything to the new consoles. SDS is no slouch. I mean, they've had a phenomenal sports franchise for PlayStation only. They have a lot smaller of a studio than like EA or 2K might have, and they're bringing you the stellar baseball game. They brought you PSP and PS Vita games that were very good. I played PSP versions of the show throughout my entire high school and college years, and it was a good game. Everything that you could have wanted on the PSP aside from online play at the time was on the PSP. And again, that's another thing that they have to work on is online play in case it goes to Xbox or even Switch. I mean, I'm sure people want to play Diamond Dynasty on Switch. They have to make sure it is ready for that. But at the same time, you have different audiences. I think a lot more Switch players are going to be more casual and want to play offline just because you're not going to always be connected to the internet at all times. And I could sit here and talk about all the things I want to see in an MLB game, such as the wishlist video that I've already made. I do think there's going to be a few new features for the Switch fans that are going to play offline. There's not going to be a whole heck of a lot just because they're hard pressed right now, but you would think that the Switch players are going to be a lot more of the casual and somewhat offline play. I'm not saying their entire audience is kids, but you kind of want to adhere to a little bit more family-friendly games that you can compete against with RBI Baseball. RBI Baseball is really the only baseball Switch game out there, and SDS wants to show that going forward, they are the baseball game that people want to buy. This is the one that is everything that you could need in a baseball game. So that's just my thoughts on it. I'm not going to make another wishlist video with all these things that I hope SDS adds in the next month or two, because it's not going to happen. I don't say that in a negative way. I just mean that they're doing everything they can to bring you a great product with the circumstances where they are in the world today. So I hope that people see this video and they realize that as much as they want new gen to be phenomenal and they want it to be on other consoles, SDS knows this already. SDS is going to bring you as presentable and good of a game as they can with what they're given. It might be another 1 or 2 editions of the show before it's finally where they're at the point where they're like, this is everything we wanted to bring to next gen for you guys or to cross console for you guys. But I have a hunch that it is going to be a little bit of a step up from what everybody's been used to with PS4 or at least MLB 20. But for the most part, I just want to preach patience. I know everybody wants news and they want the new baseball game as soon as possible, but I think a lot of people are forgetting just how hard it is to be in an office setting and do a lot of teamwork based like coding issues with a smaller studio that San Diego Studios tends to have compared to other publishers. So go easy on them for now, be patient, try and curb your Twitter outrage as much as you can over these next few weeks. They will let you know as soon as they're ready, and I think when they are ready, it is going to be well worth the wait, all things considered. For those of you interested in my logos going forward, I hope to know a little bit more about the game before I commit to anything or make any announcements. There might be some new Create Team features or stuff with the logo editor. I don't really know for sure, so I'm not going to commit to anything. Usually I start making my queue and my spreadsheet right around now or February, since the logo transfers the last few years were on February 1st. But again, I am going to hold off until we do know some more news about the new game. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and check out all of my logo videos and other MLB The Show content. I also do Rocket League and a few other games. Check those out as well. And check me out on Twitch here, coming up for the MLB season. Like I mentioned, I have a new computer, new everything, and I will be streaming more hopefully on Twitch going forward. Thanks again for watching the video, and have a great rest of your day.